But that's why we are unapologetically Black. That is why Give 828 is Black-led and Black benefiting, which means that 50% of your board and 50% of your staff have to be Black. Because if you're serving a Black community, that power dynamic has got to be consistent. And there's no way that you can tell me that your board is majority white and you're serving these Black kids. There's not.
And you know exactly what they need, right? Yeah, I get it.
Sorry.
Welcome to the Kickback with Keri podcast. I'm your host, Keri Henderson, and today I'm kicking back with Ebonie Johnson Cooper, the executive director and founder of the Young Black and Giving Back Institute, a powerful organization whose mission is to serve Black-led and Black benefiting nonprofit organizations. Ebonie's nonprofit leadership has earned her national recognition, including features in Essence Magazine, Jet Magazine, The Washington Post, and ABC7. At a time when conversations around equity and philanthropy are gaining more attention, Black-led organizations continue to be underfunded and face unique challenges to sustainability and growth. In this episode, we are talking about the amazing work the Young Black and Giving Back Institute is doing, Give 828, giving circles, and how we can make an impact in our communities. So if you are someone who has a desire and a passion to support local organizations, or you're a nonprofit looking for ways that you can gain grants and funding, this episode is for you. Okay, friend, welcome.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited you're here.
I'm excited.
Because, we go way back.
I know. You have like cue cards and everything. Like,
listen, I was pressed. I told people when I got my cards, I feel official.
Listen, you cannot do an interview without cards.
I did my research. I have my questions. I was looking stuff online.
Right. Don't do interviews with cell phones. Like, it's just distracting.
People do that?
I mean, I don't know, but...
Oh, no, we're going to have cards. Now, some people don't have cards. I'm like, well, y'all just that good that y'all can just
think... We have a teleprompter, but it's just distracting.
Yeah, no.
It's distracting.
I have cards with all my questions.
I love it. I love it.
But thank you so much for being here. And, I'm a huge fan of your organization, Young Black and Giving Back.
Thank you.
I just now had to get rid of my shirt that I got. I don't know how many years. Yes. I was like, ooh.
Was it time?
Yeah.
It was time.
Because if it was still in really, really good condition, I was going to wear it today.
Oh, yeah. I have a couple different ones and I see them like randomly. Had one on. Actually, I had one on last Thursday for Give 828. So I was like, oh, and I was like, it's vintage. Like, I can't.
It is. And I wanted to keep it. I was like, girl, this shirt's on its last leg. But I got my money's worth. But I wanted to wear it because I've been a huge fan of the organization. But tell the people, what was the vision behind Young Black and Giving Back Institute? How did we get here?
So the name happened in 2014. That's when the name happened because it started off as Friends of Ebonie. And I was like, oh, Bill and Melinda Gates can have friends, so can I. Whatever. Things we talk about when we're like in our 20s. Anyway, and so I got to a point where that was in 2009. And it was a good family friend who lost a daughter. And so they started a foundation for her. And so I wanted to do like a fundraiser. I was in New York. And it was pretty clear, like in the spaces I was in, like I was on a junior board for a nonprofit. We were fundraising, and an old colleague was like, oh, you should do board training through this program through the United Way. It's called Linkages. And so I had other friends in other spaces where there weren't a lot of us. And so I started to realize, like, wait, like we're doing this work, but no one really knows. And in a place like New York, I wouldn't say that people are like entrenched in the nonprofit sector. Most of my folks were like in finance and, business. And so that group of folks, we were doing things on the philanthropic side for sure. And so, so I just decided to start having these conversations about what it meant to be, young and Black and in philanthropy. So I had my first panel discussion in New York at this open space in Harlem. And so it was great. Like my friends were there. It was a panel. Shout out to my friend Mike Muse. He was like our moderator. Jovi was on the panel. Oh my God, I'm trying to think. It was fun. It was a good night. Yeah. And so then I just decided to like keep those conversations going. And then we came to DC. We did a similar panel at the National Council of Negro Women. And David Johns was the moderator that night. But yeah, so it was really about having these conversations about what Black professionals were doing as it related to giving. And so fast forward, I didn't want my name to be associated with it anymore because I was like, this is just weird. But the academician in me wanted to do something that had to do with learning. And so I thought through and I was like, oh, what about the Young Black and Giving Back Institute? And at the time, I was like, should I have Black in it? Should I not?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
I'm very much like, yes.
like, yes. Hello, 2025.
Okay.
But then I was like, this is going to be too much. So anyway, so change the name. And you might remember we had semesters, like fall semester, spring semester, fundraising 101. Like it was the whole thing. And then that just didn't happen. But we continued with the idea of learning. And then, we had the board trainings and the fundraising trainings. And so it just became this space for us to be able to get the professional development in the space of philanthropy and nonprofits. And we started to see people that weren't just on the philanthropic side, but those of us who worked in the nonprofit space, because we didn't see a lot of each other. And folks didn't really see a lot of us. We'd be one of one in a room. But then we get in our rooms and it's like,
that's a lot of us.
Yeah.
And you also attracted people that are interested in that space, because that's why I would attend your events. Like, I'm not on a board, I'm not a part of a nonprofit, but I just have a passion for giving back.
Absolutely.
So the events that you were having was very informative to like, okay, what can I be doing on a small scale, large scale, to like give back to my community?
Yep. That's what it was all about. And I think people need to know everyone who's there, right? Because you may not be on a board, but you do your lunch give back all the time, right? Like that's still something where if I am on a board, if I do want to contribute, like that's a place that I can plug in or send people to, right?
Yeah.
So I think that everybody is important in the space, and so that was the community that we built.
I guess the question I have is, should I? Because I don't have a nonprofit right now. Somebody told me I should, because I look back on the dates I've been doing stuff. Because you've been to some of my events in the past.
Yep.
I said, I've been doing this for over 10 years. And I was talking to somebody. They were like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to think about go ahead and converting that so you can get grant money and sponsorships and all that type of stuff. Because right now I just do it because I have a passion for it. It's just like as you know, because you've come to some of our the baskets. You guys came. Your team came when we did the baskets for moms and things like that. So in this space, one of the things I thought about, given the climate that we're in, is there's a lack of federal funding and a lot of nonprofits rely on that. So what are some of the specific challenges Black-led nonprofits are facing that may be a little bit different? I don't know if they may not be different, but what are some of the challenges that they face, not just this year, but up until this point? Because I feel like, of course, there's always going to be unique challenges for Black-led nonprofits versus other organizations.
Yeah, I think, everybody's funding stream is different. Yeah. And so I think what organizations have had to really think about is like, where are we getting our money from? Because if you've relied on just one or two funders for however long you've been around, it makes it really difficult. So we may get here or not, but it's totally fine. We just started a giving circle as part of the Institute. And so we granted 5 grantees this year. And one of the smallest organizations got the biggest grant. Not intentionally. Yeah. But because when we looked at the span of prospective grantees, right? One of the grantees, like $1 million plus, $2 million, and overhead operations, et cetera, et cetera. But when we looked at the much smaller organization and what she was doing a lot with a little bit, and so one of the questions we had to ask ourselves is this organization, even though they're large and they have the infrastructure, are they going to benefit as much from this $15,000 grant as this smaller organization that has less structure, just because they're just not structured that way, but look at how far they can go with this little bit, with this lot of bit of money, right? Yeah. And so sometimes it's hard to think about how we are going to grant out or give out our funds. Same thing happened with Give 828. We decided that every year we're going to give just a love offering, if you will, to organizations that are micro, small, medium, and large. And so we did an inverted pyramid. So we gave the least amount to the largest organization and the largest amount to the smallest organization. Because
they're going to need it more.
Yeah. It doesn't always work out that way, but it just so happens that the smaller organizations, like you would be considered a small organization, right? You decide to all right, I'm going to go ahead and make this thing a 501c3. You're doing, and actually the organizations I'm thinking about, same thing, right? Like they're gathering, menstrual products, they're gathering, food, and they're putting them in bags, and they're like getting folks together, or maybe they're partnering with schools around like period poverty. So you're doing all of these things, and you need the reach to be large because it's very product based, right? And so if you're not getting sponsored by XYZ brand to fill the bags, it's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, because right now it's just from everyone who donates.
Right. Yeah. And so that is true. A $15,000 grant is really going to help to line your pocket so that maybe you'll have overflow versus that larger organization, which usually means that they have a different funding stream or different kind of funding. So they probably are impacted a little bit more by the federal cuts because maybe they are getting federal funding, or maybe they are impacted from a industry standpoint. So if they, let's say they're a part of a Head Start initiative, right? Like that's going to impact, 'cause it's Head Start, right? So your money is federally funded, versus another type of organization. So I just really think it depends. But I would say the majority of the organizations that we engage with, and I'm thinking Give 828, our organizations through the giving circles, those are most of our organizations are less, their operating budgets are less than $1 million. So they'd be considered like pretty small organizations. Yeah.
Let's talk about 828.
Okay.
Because it just happened, and it was a record-breaking year. I saw that email. I said, y'all better. I know that's right.
That's what the kids do. Yeah, they clock the T. They clock the T. Yeah.
I know that's right. Because tell the people, I've been a fan of 828. I have donated pretty much probably almost every year since you started 828. I think it is an amazing initiative. But one, why is that date so important? Because I didn't know that. I think until a couple years ago, I'm like, oh, all these things happen on 828. Like, oh, this is a history-making day. This makes sense.
It is. It's such a serendipitous day for us in the Black community. I mean, I'm a history nerd, so I didn't know all of the dates. So we had a volunteer a couple years ago. So it really started in 2017. Well, it was just us. We just crowdfunded ourselves, and we raised $5,000. But we picked the date because the intern was like, hey, did you know all these things were happening on this date? And I was like, come on, say what?
Like significant things happened in history on 828.
Yes. And so coincidentally, very soon thereafter, the Blacksonian opened, and Ava DuVernay did a short called August 28th or 28th.
I think so,
August 28th or 28th. Yeah. And she talks about the very same things. And I was like, okay, God, I get it. So the day itself, for those who don't know, was the day that Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech. It was the date that then Senator Barack Obama said he was running for president. It was one of the days where, or as New Orleans was getting ready, like the storm Katrina was on its way, right? So they were impacted in that same weekend. It was also the date
because this was just the 20th anniversary.
Yep, it was the 20th anniversary. Yeah, it was the date that soon after we'd already started Give 828, but it was the day that our dear T'Challa passed away.
I didn't know he passed on that day.
He did. He passed on 28th. Wow. It was the day that Jackie Robinson got admitted into Major League Baseball, which was a huge thing. And so as we look at all of these moments that happened, it was like,
you have to do,
it was just like, so it was like, let's just do August 28th, and it's stuck, and it came at the end of August, which is also Black Philanthropy Month. And so we've sort of walked this path together. It's the end of the month. It sort of, kind of brings everything together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's how we got to August 28th, and we just really push it. But the thing that excites me the most every single year is to see how creative the organizations are. So we do all the work to get people registered. Like, that's our push. Like, register. Yeah. And then once they've registered, if you just look at the hashtag and just to see how creative these organizations are, like, and I haven't met probably a third of them, but to see just how passionate they are, and they're pushing for this date, and they're trying to fundraise, it just really warms your heart, because it's a day that they can call their own. Like, Giving Tuesday is not for us. A lot of the community foundation-based giving days are not for us. We've had so many community foundations who will reach out because they're like, oh, we had such and such giving day, and we've had a hard time connecting with our Black nonprofits. Surprise. You know what I mean? So they found that partnering makes sense, right? So then they can build these relationships. And so I think it's the excitement from the organizations that are participating that really makes us feel good about it, because you just, head down, get the folks to register. And when you see what they do with the day and how they fundraise, you're like, you can't not do it.
Exactly. So for those of you guys who are like, well, 828 fundraising. So it's a day where you guys have the platform. It's 828.org.
Give828.org.
Give828.org. There's a list of a ton of organizations, nonprofit organizations. And
283 this
year. Come
on,
go ahead and brag. Yes. Is that the most you've had?
No. So our unicorn year was 2020.
Okay.
So we had something like almost like 400 organizations.
Well, 2020. That makes sense.
Yeah, but I say it's a unicorn year because even though we had so many people registered, a ton of those didn't actually fundraise.
Okay.
So from a numbers perspective, it was great, so we could see it, and it was also the year that we had raised the most money.
Gotcha.
So I mean, apart from this year. Yes, at that time, it was wonderful. But then you look at the metrics, you're like, okay, we had all these organizations. If the other half of them had registered, it would have been crazy.
Gotcha.
But they were still able to be a part of that number. And,
Right.
so yeah.
So yeah, it's the platform. It has a list of all these organizations, and it's the one day they go hard. They go in on getting meeting their fundraising goals. And so you guys did over $258,000 this year.
We did.
And I was like, whew, that's a lot of money, but it's needed. But it is a great initiative. I encourage everybody to go to the website, check it out. Can people still donate even though the day has passed?
Yeah, so it won't count towards the day's numbers, but the organizations that are on there, their pages are still live, and they'll still get payouts.
They'll still get payouts.
They still will get payouts. Yep, the payouts come I think the 10th of every month.
Because I think I went on the website, and even though it's, the date was over, it still has a button on there to give. So go ahead and go. If you know an organization that might be registered and you're curious and you thought like, oh, I want to be using my funds to give back to a Black-led nonprofit organization, give828.org is the perfect place to find a full list of organizations that you can support. One of the things I'm curious to know, because when you started Young Black and Giving Back Institute, of course, you're supporting Black-led nonprofits, but to me, from my perspective, as someone who's wants to be more philanthropic, it was also a great initiative to encourage our generation to be more, to think about philanthropy in a different way. So what are some of the things that we could be doing now to kind of keep pushing that, to get more of our generation, Gen Z, into this philanthropic space and understanding that we can be philanthropists? Because I think sometimes we hear that word and we think like, oh, you have to have $1 gazillion and you got to have a foundation and you have to do all these things to actually make an impact. And I've always been a believer, like, you can make an impact no matter the size of your platform. So what are some things that we can kind of push our generations and generations after us to be more philanthropic?
First I say, I don't understand anything that Gen Z says. So I don't know what I say. I'm like, wait, what? There is the who? I don't get it. But no, but I feel like when this started, I mean, over a decade ago, right? We were the Gen Z of the time. Like, because the underbelly of even Friends of Ebonie was around the research I did when I was at NYU. It was my graduate capstone, and I literally reached out and interviewed folks as part of the capstone, do all the research and qualitative and quantitative research around Black millennial giving, right? Because everybody had heard about the other generations, but nobody knew about us. And so I wanted to be able to demonstrate and show that, hey, like, we give too, and this is how, and this is why, these are the things we care about. So don't ask us about, the cats and the dogs, because we really don't care, right? But ask us about mentoring. Ask us about, women and girls. Like, that's the thing we care about. And so I think that remembering that those things still matter to us. Like, we look around our communities, like, what are the things that we think about? Like, one of the main differences is, right, we're not necessarily a trust not generation, but our race. Like, we're not Black people. We did not build our wealth on, it's not generational in that way. And so I think that when oftentimes, and I'll use our colleges, sorry, I touched the microphone.
You're fine.
Colleges like HBCUs, they're like, oh, give back. And it's like, some people are like, listen, I just made it here,
Yeah, that is true.
And so when we're looking at first, even second, perhaps even third could be still early, right? For many of us, I think the idea of giving back can seem odd or seem out of reach. Doesn't mean that we don't have the desire for it, but where we were in our 20s when we first started, or 30s when we first started this thing, and where we are now is much different, right? We've been well educated. Our eyes and ears and all the things have been open to what it looks like, right? If I'm first out of college, so if we're talking, the Gen Zers or high school, college, wherever, you're like, I just got my life together.
Right.
Like, I'm just starting, right? So I'll give this $5-10 maybe. Where I am at University of Maryland, like, we're a do good campus, and so we talk to our students about what it means for, like, social impact. You see an issue, you solve it. We do all the things, right? That's a different structure or system. But I'm glad that many of our students who come through all of our programs, it is a very diverse program, right?
Yeah.
So I would say, from a generational standpoint, I think Gen Z probably has a leg up, because social impact and creating your own thing is a thing for them.
Yes, it is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think their idea of fundraising or pitching or venture, whatever it is that they're doing, it's really a part of who they are, not necessarily from a community standpoint per se, but they're just like, hey, I see this problem, I want to solve it, or I'm going to be my own boss, right? Like, I don't know if half of them will actually work for someone else. I don't know. But
Right.
because I think that they're entrepreneurial by nature, giving will look a little bit different, but I think the giving will be in them starting their own organizations, right? So when I look at all of our students who are part of what we call our Do Good Challenge, like these are college students, like these are college students, that are fundraising for, hospitals that help with, childhood cancers. We're talking about, students. I'm thinking about one student. In fact, she has a whole nonprofit that is helping younger children, right? You think younger, but like start their own businesses and raise their own money. And I was like, wait, what?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So their giving is going to look different than ours. And I think we're at the place as millennials, older millennials, right? We're late 30s, in our 40s. Hi.
I'm there too.
Yeah, I'm saying hello, right?
On the fourth floor.
Yeah, come on, come on. Hey.
On the fourth floor.
So I think that we, like, giving to us probably feels different because we may have more disposable income, right? Well, not me, but, I always tell people, listen, kids eat all your money. Let me tell you
You're
something.
like, just because I work in that space don't mean I got it like that to begin, right?
Let me tell you something. I got a whole child. I got a whole mortgage. Anyway, but I think we are mature or more mature, whatever, in thinking about what giving looks like for us at this stage. And I don't want to say it's an excuse sometimes to be like, oh, we weren't raised that way, or we didn't. It's like we were not, or we may not have been, right? I don't want to brush, a general stroke, but I think that we have been educated enough at this point that we can make different decisions.
Agreed.
And we can do things differently, even though we may be first, second, or third generation. And yes, we are not right out of college, so know that $25 is it should not feel like it's a lot.
Yeah.
But you can also think about, perfect example, Blacksonian, but colleague and friend Anna was the architect behind the idea of the ambassadors program. And I will never forget going to Anna's house. She lives in a different house in DC. And she had, I don't know how, maybe like 40, 50 folks at her house. And she had one of the curators of the museum there.
Nice.
And so we watched on the video, like dating ourselves. I'm like, okay, it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it, right? She had this little TV and then she played the video of what the dream or idea of the museum was. And then at the end, right, I mean, it's just classic, prospecting, trying to cultivate donors. They talked about this program where you could donate $5,000 to $24,999, right? And you would be an ambassador, which means that you would have access when the museum opened. And everybody wants to be part of the museum when it opened, right? So that...
I understand. I'm a charter member.
You know what I'm saying? Like
I was in there at least 3 times before it opened.
Exactly. It was an easy sell.
Yep.
And so it was easy because you had all of these folks who were largely in our 30s, who were trying to figure out how we could be part of it. Those who were married may have done the 24.99 route or any, closer to that. I know what I could afford. And I was like, yup, I can do $83 a month. I'm good. And it seemed, it was broken down enough where it seemed achievable.
Yes.
And now that we're at a place where we can make different decisions with our money, I think we have to find opportunities we can plug in where it makes sense, right? Because daddy ain't giving me a big old check,
Right.
So yeah, I think generationally we're at a place where you know better, you do better. And the younger generation, I think they're different.
They're already there.
They're there in certain ways.
Yeah.
And I think if they wanted to write a $2,500 check, they're gonna figure out how to do it on their own. They're not asking nobody to do it.
Speaking of being in a different place, now you mentioned the Giving Circle earlier, and I know you guys started that this year,
last 2024.
Tell us about the Giving Circle, because I don't know, and I actually was looking online today, and I actually saw that there's one in Baltimore that supports like Baltimore Black, and I'm like, oh, this is a thing. Like, I don't know if I knew that. I was like, well, I may have to.
Yeah. Speaking
of, finding those organizations or groups that are, where I can donate money, I'm like, I might have to look into a Giving Circle.
Yeah. So again, history nerd. So collective or community giving is something that ethnic communities do, right?
And we gonna need to do that now more than ever, child.
Right. So, you might have heard your parents, Black folks down south, West Indian, like we call them susus. My mom is part of one in our building back home in New York. Bless her heart. But, I mean, they do it because it's like, I want a new pocketbook or I want to pay this bill, right? So everybody puts money in a pot. And, every month or however often they rotated, that person gets the money of that pot. But you've got to put into it and know that whenever your rotation comes up, you get an extra, you get a kickback. And so they, The Korean communities have them, Spanish communities have them. They call them different things, tenda, susus, whatever. And so the idea of this collective giving means that we get to pool our money and give it out in the way that we want. And so when I moved to DC back in 2012, I became a member of what was then called Black Benefactors. And so Black Benefactors started by Tracy Webb, shout out. And Tracy wanted us to be able to put our money together and grant it out to nonprofits in DC and Prince George's County that we cared about.
Yeah.
Hard stop, right? And so when you have 25, 26, I think we ended at just over 30 members, while the base gift was $250. Many people paid well above that. Yeah. So you have this huge pool of money that 25, 26, 30 some odd people are deciding how it's going to be granted out. And so pre-COVID, we'd meet up all the time. You know, we had these, hold on a sec. Sorry, hold on. I'll be right back.
We got a smoothie break.
Like legit. God
we got a smoothie. Y'all don't understand. It was a whole thing before this episode started, trying to figure out what smoothie to order.
I forgot I put kale in this. I was like, why is this green? Hold on, please. Oh, that was good.
Is it good? It was a good choice?
It was good.
Good choice.
Very good
Okay,
choice.
awesome.
Very good choice.
Awesome. She's like, I'm good.
Yeah, and I'm going to get fried chicken after this, so whatever.
It's all about balance.
It's all about balance.
It's all about balance.
It's the duality.
Exactly.
What were we talking about?
The giving circle.
Oh, yeah, giving circles. So, right. So thinking about how we want to put our money together, how we want to give it out. You know, we get to create the process. That call it trust-based philanthropy now. You don't have to ask a lot of questions. You know, these are organizations that we know about. We would get, 80, 100 applications every round. And it got so popular that we had to think about, okay, now, what are going to be the causes we're actually going to use? Because it was like, come one, come all.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, how do you guys decide?
Right. So
which organizations, or do you focus on specific, like this giving circle specifically focuses on like these three areas,
right?
Type of thing.
So Black Benefactors, we closed shop in 2023, either 22 or 23. And I told Tracy, I was like, hey, I think YBGB, we're going to start a giving circle. So with that in mind, we received one of the last grants, which ended up being part of our seed grant to our now giving circles, which is called Benefactors as an ode. It's Benefactors, a Black Giving Collective. And we do it in partnership with the Greater Washington Community Foundation. And so we all sat down, we thought about, okay, what are we going to do? Is myself, Tonya, one of our board members, Melon, Afia, shout out to Afia, because Afia was also planning a giving circle with one of her friends. So we kind of put our heads together, well, what's going to be the base amount? So we decided that we were going to do $500. So $500 is the membership fee.
For a year.
Yep. That $500 goes into a pool, goes into a DAF at the Community Foundation. And then we have 48 members that are part of Benefactors now. And so what we did this year, so two things happen every year. The participants from the previous years Give 828. So all of the 2024 Give 828 participants were eligible for 2025's grant round. We picked the cause areas. It was real simple. There are 13 now, but there were 11 categories when our organizations register for Give 828. You get to self-select. Are you reproductive justice? Are you mental health? You select those. I think you can select up to 3.
Yeah.
As a giving circle, we decided that food insecurity, women's health, and arts and culture were going to be the 3 areas that we would focus on. So then that helped us to take however many 215, dwindle that down to 115. From 115, yep, we had a committee. So out of the 48 members, we had a committee of, actually no, before we got to the committees, we had a couple of fellows that helped us. And so they basically kind of went through all of them. And then from that, we got a strong list of 25 organizations that were like, that's where we started.
Gotcha.
And so the committee then literally, all we had to do, so let me back up, back to trust-based philanthropy, no one had to fill out an application.
You mean the organizations that are...
Right.
Okay.
That's right. So there was no application to receive the grant.
Gotcha.
It was, this is what you have online. This is what your Give 828 profile looks like, your website, et cetera, et cetera. We looked at the IRS to make sure that they were legit, as long as they were filing, like anytime you file your 990, file your 990. As a 501c3, we can see your financial health.
Gotcha.
And so what was important for us is to make sure the organizations were being responsible, right? Because there's a fiduciary and governance responsibility that we wanted to make sure was there. Now, if we went on, there were organizations that did not have a 990 filed since like 2020.
Oh.
Right. Well, in which case they wouldn't exist because you can't not file one for 3 years. But anyway, if we saw like big gaps or there were organizations that had just filed like in 2024, which we were like, oh, how is that? And then coincidentally, because all Black people know each other, one of our members, shout out to Edward Jones, he was like, oh yeah, no. They were a fiscal agent of this organization. And someone else was like, oh yeah, I know her. My friend works there. So it was really nice. So even though, which is why you can't always believe what's on the internet, people were there. We were there to vouch for each other. And so no organization that was in our list was not vouched for before we got down to the finalist list. Like there was somebody who was able to
vouch for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And then in pairs, what we did, we got down 25, and then we got down to the next set. And then in pairs, as a committee, we literally reached out to them. We're like, hey, we want to have like a 5-minute conversation with you. And we just asked them, I forget the question now, but it was something real easy that they could answer. And then that was it.
And then you make your decision.
Made a decision, and then we sent out. We had a ballot that we sent out to the broader membership to say, hey, here are. I think there were 10 finalists, and we had to select. We ended up selecting 5.
I think you guys did 5.
Yeah, we did 5. But the decision about how large the grants were going to be, we had $48,000 to give out. Are we going to do one $48,000 grant? Are we going to
split them? Yeah.
So that's how we split it up, and
Nice.
we did 2 15s, 1 10, and 2 8s. And so, or no, I'm sorry, 2 4s, no, 2 8s, 2 8s. Y'all look online and see. But it was too small. I know it was 1 10 and 2 15s. And so, and then it was the question of once we decided, when our members went in to vote, they also voted based on who they thought should get the amount of money. So it might sound like, oh my God, that's a lot, but it was something we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right? We're all like-minded folks who care enough about these organizations to make the decision. And so, yeah.
It sounds like a lot, but it also sounds exciting. Because then, you know,
Right.
I feel like I would want to be a part of it just to hear what people are working on, what people are doing, because there's so many organizations. And how can people find, because let's say someone's watching this and they're not in the DC area, right? So we have the Giving Circle that
is national. So you can.
Oh, it is national.
We have members that are in
Okay,
California.
great.
We have members that are in Georgia. So analogous to YBGB. So we're national, even though we're based here.
Yeah.
Give 828 is a national day.
Right.
And so when we started the Giving Circle, one of the appeals is like, listen, we're giving to organizations across the country.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so most Giving Circles are hyper local.
Yeah.
So New Generation of African American Philanthropists, shout out to Valeda in Charlotte. They're Charlotte based.
Okay. Because the one I saw, I think earlier today, that one I think was Baltimore based.
Yes.
And then I saw an article that was about different Giving Circles in different states in the South, and I think they were all hyper local.
Yep, like
Okay.
Go Girl, they're in
Yeah.
New Orleans. Hey, Sierra. And so, sure, if you want to support,
Local.
girls, yes, you can. But there's an organization, if you're really interested in finding out about Black Giving Circles, it's called Community Investment Network, CIN. They're getting ready to have actually a conference in Philly at the end of October. Yeah,
because I think I'd want to join one.
Yeah, I mean,
think
you
I
can
would.
join benefactors. We're right
I mean,
here.
I'm gonna join.
I mean,
Yes,
a Black
that would
Giving
be
Collective.
yours, yes.
And you can pay in installments. You understand? We four installments. We have payment plans.
Okay, I appreciate it.
No problem. But that's also like the maturity of giving, right? So like we're
Yeah.
at a different place, right? I mean, listen, we all want a soft life,
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're there, right, you're
Yeah.
not writing a check instantaneously for like that amount of money. So you're like, can I pay twice, 4 times? Sure.
Exactly. No, I love that.
And so just understanding where your entry point is and what makes sense. So that's how the Giving Circle works. We have a couple fellowships. We met at a whiskey bar, Black-owned restaurant down in Southeast. The woman who owns DC City Smokehouse. They have one on Florida Avenue and then one down in Anacostia.
Nice.
And then it turns into a whiskey bar. It's really cute. So we did like a little meetup there. And so, yeah, it's a fellowship opportunity, but the only drawback is that we are national.
Yeah.
So that the contingent that's here, yes, we'll be able to hang out, get to know each other. But regionally, we'll probably do some things with folks that are like in Detroit or in other places.
To meet
So,
people.
Yeah.
The theme this year for Give 828 was resilient.
Resilience.
What does that mean for Black-led nonprofits? How would you define resilient?
It's what we do all the time, but the word stuck this year. I mean, just sort of thinking about where we are.
Yep.
Yeah, just all the foolishness.
Girl.
But child. But we thought it was important to use a word that spoke to us about all the things that we do, right? We are a resilient people.
Yeah.
Right? Hello, right?
Amen.
We're here. Hello. And there's no way that you can still be here, after all of the things that we've experienced. It's things that we're still learning about, right?
Right.
Interesting just the other day, there was a news segment about Emmett Till's cousin who was with
I
him.
saw
You
that.
saw that, right?
And I'm like, that man is younger than my parents,
Right.
which means it wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. And do you remember what Emmett Till's mother said, Miss Mamie, when they, not me, she showed his body, right?
Yeah.
She just want people to know. But she said that if this is going to help to move our people forward, then my son's death was not in vain. And I'm like, yo, like to be able to even, as a mother,
have that perspective.
What?
Yes.
I want my baby back.
Right.
Like,
Right.
ain't
Right.
no way.
Right.
But the fact that she, again, was resilient, right, in that moment, heartbreaking, falling apart, and say, I'm going to take this pain
And
right here, right now.
And thought about the future.
Hello. Right. And so that to me is just indicative of who we are as a people all the time. And it frustrates my mother so much because she's like, we're too forgiving of a people. And some people might feel that way. It's like all of the things. Emmett Till's cousin, I can't think of the Reverend's name, but he was just like, you have to forgive. You have to forgive. And I absolutely, I hope there's still a place for me in heaven. Because
girl, yeah,
I'm not always there.
I understand because I'm not either.
I'm just like, you killed my, I can't promise. I don't know. Pray, Lord, I don't ever have to make that decision in life. But to know, like anyone who has been, impacted by any sort of violence, right? Direct violence. And there was also a segment about the Charleston Nine and, what happened at Mother Emanuel. And I was actually DMing with one of our Giving Circle members who lives out of the country now. And we were just saying like, yo, like the idea for like, I
remember when that happened and it might've been Charleston when they were just like, oh, I forgive you. I'm like,
I said, absolutely.
I'm like, I mean, I know we supposed to, and maybe one day, but it's not going to be within no 24 hours. But everyone's journey is different. But I know me. And I think I was having this conversation with my parents. I was like, if that happened to somebody, a family member of mine, I'm not about to turn around and then immediately, because the first thing the media asked, he was like, oh, do you forgive them? Y'all don't ask other people that. Why y'all always ask us? Because we are very forgiving people, which I understand. And that is a great characteristic to have. I think that's one of the things that helps us be resilient, right? Because if you were stuck on the trauma that we've experienced as a people, we would be stuck.
We would be stuck.
We wouldn't be able to move forward like we do. But I also understand if you can't forgive as soon as other people want you to.
Yeah.
Because that's traumatic.
It is traumatic. It was Reverend Pinckney's daughter that they were interviewing. So now she's in college. And she was like, they asked the question, do you forgive that man? She did not have a direct answer. She gave a beautiful answer, but it wasn't a yes.
Yeah. And I don't blame her.
And I think that, I mean, it happened when she was a child, right? She was 12 or maybe younger than that.
Right.
But this was, I believe the second interview that they had given to her after just over time. And I think for that to happen to a child and even for her to have the perspective that she has. Oh, she said, I hope he has learned from this. That's what she said. It wasn't a yes and it wasn't a no, but she said, I hope he has learned from this and I hope he has become a different person.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps that's all you can hope for, right? Perhaps this might, but yeah.
We on the same page. We just gonna have to pray.
Yeah.
We just pray.
Yeah.
She's like,
God knows my heart, right? I mean,
he does.
He does. Just, I don't know. I get it. I understand what the Reverend was saying in that segment. I really do. Right. It's not about holding anger or holding anything. Right. And that is absolutely what we're called to do as Christians. But
because I mean, when it comes to forgiveness, you're doing it for yourself.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise you will let that anger and that hatred and that all of that eat you alive.
Yep.
So when we say forgive, I'm like, yes, we may feel some type of way about what happened, but we do essentially forgive because we don't want to live with that eating us up.
And I would still stab you in your pinky toe. Like, I don't care. Like, what? You killed my child.
She's like, I forgive you and I'm gonna stab you in the pinky toe.
Yes. Like,
two things can be true.
Two things can be true. Duality.
Listen, duality and nuance. Everything is not black and white.
It is not.
What does the future of Black philanthropy look like to you?
It is this moment, I think, of just unequivocal joy. Like I have been so inspired and enlightened. I have two friends who moved out of the country, one with their family and one by themselves. She's all engaged now. I'm like, okay, great. You're African man too. Like, I was like, come let me step off. Anyway, all right. But I think joy is the greatest sense of peace that one can feel.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when I was away this summer, it was a chance for me just to really just unplug and get away from everything. And where I was, you just watch like how free the children were like running. These are Black children, right?
Mm-hmm.
How free they felt running around, how free we felt with one another, right? I don't ever wear Nelia, right? But shout out to the greatest sorority ever.
Yes.
And you're like, hey girl, hey. It's like everybody knew each other, right? It's like being in a magical place where you can just be yourself.
Yeah.
And when it comes to giving, like the greatest gift you can get is just peace and joy. And if that is what we are aspiring to, I think that is what I would love for Black philanthropy to look like. And I would love for us not to have to be philanthropic because we don't have any social ills, right? I would love for there not to have to be a fight for like reproductive justice. There doesn't have to be a fight about food insecurity. But the reality is, right, like it's the world we live in, right? In certain respects, it's the have and the have-nots and those who are in between.
Yeah.
And so as much as we are looking to support and help those who we are positioned to be able to do so, I think we do that not from a place of complacency, but how can this help you get to the next place? Right. If it's a food pantry, it's not that you need it forever. Like maybe this is just a season and a space. Like we'll see you this year, but we won't see you next year because you've moved past. Right. And one thing, the church that I attend, Kingdom Focused. Anyway, y'all know what we're talking about. We have a grocery store. Right. It's a client choice food pantry essentially. And what I love about been in operation. It just became a client choice food service marketplace. And before that, we were doing distributions. But the beauty of it is that many of the people who are in the communities that we serve are now volunteers. And some of them even like work and like get stipends from us. So it's this cycle of I'm on the receiving side, but now I'm on the giving side and I'm on the helping side because not only do I know my community, but now I feel positioned, I feel empowered because I know I'm the best person to be able to help them.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of having community-based support. And that doesn't mean that you have to be Black or you have to be Latin or you have to be whatever to be able to be helpful. But I think there is empowerment in seeing each other. Like when I show up to volunteer, you know, in where XYZ community, right? It's a reflection, right? I'm helping you out and I see you.
I think it's about being seen, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, having other people be their support, but that's why we are unapologetically Black. That is why Give 828 is Black led and Black benefiting, which means that 50% of your board and 50% of your staff have to be Black. Because if you're serving a Black community, that power dynamic has got to be consistent. And there's no way that you can tell me that your board is majority white and you're serving these Black kids.
And you know exactly what they need, right? Yeah, I get it.
Sorry. And I mean, it's so funny. Like, we'll have organizations that are like, oh, well, one organization, I don't remember the name. It doesn't even matter. But this man wanted to tell me he was of a lighter persuasion and he wanted to be part of the day. And we said, sir, these are the stipulations. This is what it is. And he was like, well, I'm sure you look at me and think that I'm not a Black man. I said, sir, who do you think you are, sir? I want to be like, sir, we know that you are a Black man, sir. That I'm not confused about. But these other people, they're absolutely not Black. And so I think sometimes we even...
Like, one is not enough.
Like, you're not counted in this, or you're one of five, right? And so it's just a matter of understanding why it's so important that representation is there. And you cannot... I'm not saying you can't be effective. I think that you can make an impact, but having those, I'm not going to understand the struggles of a single mom in Southeast DC that's living on $18,000 a year. I'm not going to understand that. But as a mother, as a Black mother, right, our auntie connection, our grand, like those are certain understandings, you know, spaces.
It's cultural understandings that other people aren't gonna get. Exactly.
Like the work of Mama Toto Village.
Yeah.
Right. All of their doulas, all of their midwives, all of their maternal health clinicians are Black. And that's intentional, right? Because I'm serving women who look like me. we come from two different sides of the tracks. We're not arguing that. But when we get in that place, what's important is that I'm looking in the face of somebody who I know at least intrinsically understands what it means to be me.
Exactly.
And so all of those things make a difference. And so back to your question, I think Black philanthropy looks like us. It looks like joy. And I think it's the highest level of freedom and joy that we can feel in wherever we can be.
Yeah.
And it's the smallest things. It was, just last weekend, the young man who was working at the garage that I was going into, he was annoyed. He was sick of them people. So when I came in, he was like, go park there. I said, baby, I just don't know where he was just like, so then, of course, I'm the old lady taking forever. He was like, you could just go there and park. And I said, well, I just want to park right here. And so, I'm just trying to de-escalate because them people have been getting on his nerves. And so when I left, I just gave him a little tip and he was like, oh, man, you just bought my lunch. I said, well,
I hope you have a great day.
But he was, you could tell that he was younger and he was just like, them people was getting on his nerves. And it was something small, but it was just showing him like the love of a mother or an auntie.
Yeah.
Like
I see you.
I see you. Now go get the Subway sandwich and go on somewhere. He was just a sweet young man.
Yeah.
And so I just think that we just constantly think about one another and do as much as we can in spaces and places that we can, because if we don't,
who else will?
Yeah.
What are one of the ways, besides the Give 828, is Young Black and Giving Back supporting our nonprofits? What is happening over there with the smoothie?
I am struggling with this straw and this microphone. I'm sorry.
Are you okay? You sure?
Yeah, I feel like I'm about to get in trouble by the producer, but it's fine.
It's fine.
Am I still centered?
I feel promise. She said, am I still centered?
I'm a mess.
Kyle, is she still centered?
Yeah, a little bit to the left, but it's fine.
You want to move this way?
No, yeah, you're good.
Okay. Okay, sorry, I can't focus.
It's fine.
What are other ways?
Other ways you guys are supporting Black-led and Black benefiting nonprofits besides Give 828?
So we have the Giving Circle, which we talked about. And then we also have our Fellows Program, which we partner with the University of Maryland through the Do-Good Institute. And we it's a fellowship opportunity for those who are working in communities that serve. So we have the Giving Circle, which we talked about, benefactors, a Black Giving Collective, which we partner with the Greater Washington Community Foundation. We'll be doing another grant in 2026. And so we do that. We do Give 828, again, happening next year. And then throughout the year, we do our best to provide educational opportunities as much as we can to those who are in leadership that serve organizations that are serving our communities.
Yeah.
So the fellows that I mentioned, we do have a fellowship partnership with the Do-Good Institute at the University of Maryland, where we provide stipends to those who are serving organizations that have one of the greatest and highest needs. And so for us, it's important that we not only equip organizations that are serving with the financial resources, but we're also helping to equip those leaders. And so when we think about, well, who are those leaders? How are they serving? Oftentimes, and many of our fellows will tell you, Takia, she does Brown Girls Do Ballet. She was like, I was winging it. Winging it. I mean, and that's what a lot of us do,
that's
right?
The reality, yeah.
We're winging it. You have a passion. I'm going to pack these lunches. I'm going to give them out. My friends are going to donate. But you're like, oh, wait, if I had this structure and I didn't know about this fundraising and this,
because I'm winging it the last 2 years.
Right? But it's been the impact of it, right? So you have the impact numbers, right? But then you sit in a class and you're like, oh, I've been working harder, not smarter.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. Oh, okay. And so that's what the program provides. And so it is a graduate level certificate program. And so through that, the fellows, we provide up to a third of the tuition.
Nice.
And then through the partnership with DGI, then they provide the other part of it. But one thing I will say is the work that I, as Ebonie, have done in the last at least 5 years, it's almost like a concentric circle. Like the world just continued to work together. So even though the seat that I sit in at the university, it's even before I got there, our work was already diverse, right? It was already reflective. Like you didn't need a Black woman to lead this program to prove that organizations and communities of color were in need of the work that we're doing. Our students who come and they're like, hey, we have this issue, that problem that we want to solve, right? it was already there. And
Mhm.
so because of that, when I look at our students, when I look at our graduate students and undergraduate students, and I see the diversity, and like, I'm not using that in like a, it's diverse, but
Right.
legit, like you see that there are Black and brown people who are doing this work. So we don't have to shop around,
Mhm.
for us. Like we are coming saying, I want to learn, I want to invest in myself. I want to be part of this cohort. I want to be part of this challenge, or I want to be part of this accelerator, because we know that we're doing the work. And because again, we're smarter, we're more
Mhm.
mature. We're like, maybe I need to go back to school for this, or maybe let me try to figure this
Figure
thing
it out,
out.
yep.
Yeah. And so our support comes through partnerships for sure. We don't do it as much anymore, but our last big research project was the Data for Good project in partnership with the Nielsen Foundation. And they were great partners. One thing I really appreciated about them and our program officers is because they knew we were a really small nonprofit.
Mhm.
And they knew that if they gave us that money in one chunk, we would have to file a full 990, and we had never done that before. So they split our grant.
Look at them looking
And I
out.
was, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so it's the small things that
Mhm.
remind you that everybody ain't what we got to deal with, right?
Mhm.
And so the folks, the non-Black folks, the white folks who are not just are in places of power and privilege that can make a difference, I think has also helps us to be able to do the work that we do, and also to be able to do it well.
Yeah.
And so that's through partnership and through our programs that we have.
Awesome. Before we wrap up, we got some rapid fire questions for you.
Hold on.
She's like, let me take a sip. Everyone has the same reaction when I say rapid fire. I'm like, they're not bad or juicy, guys. They're just fun. Just
You know.
say. They're just fun.
Hold on a second now.
Okay.
Get my lipstick.
What is
Okay, sorry, ready.
one of your favorite ways to celebrate after a successful Giving 828? Yes, I want to know.
Probably wine.
Mm-hmm.
Wine. Love a good Sauvignon Blanc from the Marlborough region of New Zealand.
Okay, fancy.
Yes.
Specific.
Yeah, and I just sometimes I just like to just sit on my couch and fall asleep. But I'm also a people person, so I do like to being in the company of friends, people who have cared. It matters, but a nice glass of wine also helps.
I love that. If you weren't in this space, this philanthropy space, and working at Maryland, what would you be doing instead?
I would probably be an actress.
Really?
I would. I grew up as a theater kid in New York. I was a stage actress from middle school through high school, and I wanted to be an actress. But my mama said that I need to get some money, so I had to get a real job. Thanks, Mom. But that's one of the careers that I've just always just kind of had in my back pocket.
Let me find out. We could have been seeing you on Broadway. Listen, it's never too late, though.
Listen, look, Felicia Rashad, Meryl Streep. Like
it's never too late.
Those are goals for me.
I'm about to say, it is never too late. Live
I
that.
got a little gray hair right here,
live
too,
that dream.
so I could be like a silver fox.
Live that dream, girl. Live that dream. Where's your favorite place to travel and unwind on a vacation? When you're just like, okay, I need a break from everybody and everything. Where are you going?
It's like your best friend check. Where's my favorite place to travel? Are you really my friend? So soft life, it's Madrid, in Spain. I've been 3 times. First time I went was actually in 2024. 2014. 2024, I was in college. I wasn't going. But it was 2014, and I fell in love with it.
Nice.
It was my Eat, Pray, Love trip, and I journeyed around Spain.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, wait, this is a thing. And and so I went back, and I've loved it every time. So Spain, but Madrid specifically.
Okay.
It makes you, to me, it reminds me very much of New York.
Really?
Oh yeah, so like Madrid for me is New York, and then Barcelona is like LA.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so Madrid is like my favorite city.
Yeah.
So far in my travels. Also love Lisbon. Portugal was a good time. I mean, there's a lot of us there. There's a lot of us there, and I experienced my first samba, my first Brazilian samba. I was like, hey, yeah, it was like,
She's like, I like it here.
I was like, am I back home? Like, yeah.
You're like, am I going back home where I'm going to stay?
Am I like this? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's city, but like locally, like if I had to like get someplace, I would say someplace that's by water, and definitely most recently, the vineyard has become my respite.
That's on my bucket list to go.
Yeah,
I haven't been yet.
We'll talk about it offline, but it's beautiful. It's probably the most northern, because I'm a beach snob. Like I need like a white sand. Like my family's from North Carolina. Like I'm like I need a nice beach.
Yeah.
But beaches usually like just bring peace, but there it's just a different kind of.
It's a different energy.
Yeah.
Final question.
Okay.
If you could instantly grant $1 million
child.
to one cause, what would it be?
Ebonie Johnson Cooper Fund. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not mad at it.
I mean,
You could be the cause, yes.
Listen, I can be the cause, and then I can make that cause.
There you
know
go.
what I'm saying?
That could work too. Yes.
If I could give $1 million, if I could give $1 million. Ooh.
If you could give out $1 million to one cause,
and it would have to be like one lump sum.
Sure.
Oh, I guess I shouldn't have asked.
I mean,
break it up.
You can break it up.
So
okay,
let's look like this Powerball. I'm gonna win tonight. I haven't played, but I'm gonna win.
Oh, my dad and I played earlier this week. Obviously, we didn't win because I would have been like, "Oh, this is canceled."
All of it's canceled. I would probably say the whole million too. Like,
okay, either you want to split it up.
No, I'm asking questions. I'm also thinking. I'm like, this is really hard. Where would I give my whole million?
Now it's a cause, so that means it could be multiple organizations under one cause, right? Right? Because food insecurity is a cause, reproductive health is a cause. So if you were to focus on one cause, what would it be?
I would say I'd probably grant it to my church's nonprofit because it is a lot of causes in one. I started there, but I was like, well, there has to be one. But yes, because we do have our marketplace, our food pantry. We have a clothing boutique. That's really good clothes. It's not for me. It's not for me. It's not for me. We have an economic empowerment center. And so with those three pieces, and it's a 6-story building in Beltsville that literally serves a community with wraparound services. So you can walk in, right? We have a health partner. We have food. We have clothing. There's a space for, it's not childcare. We ain't babysitting, but it's a family waiting area. And it's just a beautiful building, and it really helps you to understand that people are not we're not one track, right?
Right.
To be able to go in and get the things that you need without question, without cost, I think is really impactful. And so to be able to make that kind of donation and know that it is, and you also see the work happening, right? It's not like, where the money going? Like, know, right? You're serving people, you're paying salaries, you're keeping the lights on. And so I think that kind of gift to something that I'm already so close to, yeah, that's probably where it would go.
That was a beautiful answer.
Wait, see, I'm gonna get into heaven because the forgiveness thing I'm still working on. So balance, duality.
Let the people know where they can connect with you and Young Black and Giving Back Institute and the Giving Circle, all the things. How can people be connected to you and the amazing work that you are doing?
So the institute is YBGB_Institute. That is on the Instagrams, and we're on LinkedIn as the Young Black and Giving Back Institute. I am on LinkedIn as well, but don't spam me. Like people are like, oh, I just sent you a video. I was wondering if, no, delete, block. Sorry, that was rude. Okay, so LinkedIn, Instagram, and then I too am on Instagram. It's just EJC, that's me.
Awesome. So y'all go check out Ebonie, check out Young Black Giving Back Institute, all the amazing work they're doing. Stay connected so you guys can participate in the Give 828 next year.
That's right.
Check out all the website. And of course, everything will be in the show notes. I appreciate you all for tuning into this episode, and I will catch you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to the Kickback with Keri newsletter.